Okay, sorry for any background noise, but this is gonna be a video that I've been dreading doing because to be honest, I'm more annoyed than concerned with anything. But this is about the constant conversations we seem to be having about the whole racial issue and a lot of things that's going on in the country right now. It's just some of my thoughts. Look, I didn't write anything down. This is just me spitballing. You disagree with anything, feel free to say something. You agree with anything, feel free to say something. I mean, it's up to whoever. But this is just my thoughts, man. This is just my humble opinions. Okay. I think the issue with the so-called black community. All right, I'm just gonna say black because it's just a designation, and people have to understand this, man. Like when you are raised to believe or not believe, when you're raised and taught a certain designation for you and your people, it's hard to think about anything else other than that. And that's going to be one of the things that I touch on. So one of the biggest issues in the black community is lack of sufficient information, lack of sufficient guidance. I mean, it's all under the same umbrella. But it's funny how black people, when it comes to their interactions with each other, it's so unbelievably unstable, unbalanced, whatever you want to, whatever word you want to use, incredibly all over the place. Like whatever, bipolar. If you want to throw bipolar in there, it's incredibly bipolar because I don't think we have our best interests in mind. I don't think we have our kids' best interests in mind. I don't think we have our neighbors' best interests in mind, because if that was the case, a lot of the things that we're doing that pretty much puts us in a certain box. I mean, it's easy to call somebody a racist for making stereotypical remarks, towards black people, but when you're constantly putting us in the box, when we're constantly putting each other in a box, I mean, how else is anybody supposed to view you? I mean, like it's not hard. It's not hard to understand that. Like when you're constantly portraying yourself as something, why would anybody else think anything of you? Think anything else of you? But one of the issues that we have is the lack of information, the lack of guidance, not enough teaching certain things that need to be taught. And there's a lot of guys on YouTube, there's a lot of guys on the internet that are taking it upon themselves to try to dish out the so-called knowledge or whatever. And I'm not saying that's not a good thing. I'm just saying you can't really judge somebody because of something that you were taught, you were the beneficiary of, that they weren't. All right, let's just get that out of the way. All right, but also accountability needs to be taken. Accountability needs to be taken in its appropriate portions for everybody. I mean, one of the videos that I made a long time ago was about the lack of accountability in today's society, where people make terrible decisions all the time and they're always looking for the scapegoat for the reason why they don't want to take responsibility for the choices that they make. And yes, the video was about LeBron James, but I mean, he was the poster child of it. He was the face of it because it was easy to use him as a teaching tool because, he's a public figure, but accountability is lacking. And black people lack accountability. Okay, with the destruction of the home, the poisoning of the children's minds, a lot of that rides on us. Everybody wants to jump on the internet and pretend that there's some fucking master scholar where, they've read thousands of books and they've learned all this stuff, but none of them is actually doing anything to make anything better. You know, I mean, sure, getting on the internet and trying to, spoon feed people information is fine, but it's not like it's actually making a big difference. It seems like we're going faster in the opposite direction than people like to admit. Like it's bad out there, you know. This is why I don't get wrapped up in the whole racial thing. This is why I don't get wrapped up in a lot of these conversations with the George Floyd situations and the guy that there was a few guys that died over the course of the past 5 years. There was I'm not even gonna try to remember that. Like, I really didn't care. I'm not saying that I didn't feel for their family to lose somebody in the manner that they lost them. I'm just saying I have bigger concerns in my life than worrying about the death of somebody. Okay, people die all the time. Children die all the time. I mean, that's a lot sadder than George Floyd's death. There are kids out here that die from tragic accidents all the time that are far more of a concern of mine than that. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know the guy. Nobody knows who this George Floyd guy. His whole family probably don't know who George Floyd is really. But I frequent somebody's channel. I mean, he's one of these satire guys who does a lot of jokes. He's very funny dude, but there's a lot of truth in what he says. Sometimes I'll jump on his live streams just to, have a good time, make, crack jokes and stuff like that. But I joined the live one day because I got tired of a lot of the racial issues, and he was talking about a lot of the racial stuff that was going on. And I hopped on the live stream and I tried to have a serious conversation with him where I called in and I was talking to him on the live stream. And, he's one of your typical black dudes, like talk about the issues that our community suffers from, like a lot of the issues that we seem to suffer from, but also glorifying the black woman, glorifying a woman, period. That was his angle, okay? And I was trying to have a serious conversation. I was talking to him about how we're more concerned with other people fixing our problems than us fixing our own issues. And it's a community thing. It's a everybody thing. It's not just a one person, 2 people, 10 people here. Like, this is a group effort that needs to happen. Like, this is what people are not understanding. Like, you're not going to get your problem solved the way that you're going about it. Protesting, complaining about it, it's not going to fix it. But, you can't tell people that. And right now we're in the transition. Okay, we're in a transition, and I'm not one of these dudes that's going to quote scripture and talk about how Jesus is potentially coming back and all this stuff. That, that's fine. I'm not saying that's not true or anything. I'm just saying I'm not one of those guys. You have a lot of dudes preaching on YouTube right now about all these different things, but it's all pretty much touching the same point, and how self-improvement is important, which I agree with. I agree with it. But, and fixing the issues of our community. But in order to do that, in order to learn how to self-improve, in order to learn how to work our way out of this problem we seem to be in, this situation we seem to be in, again, it takes a group effort, man. And I just don't see anybody doing anything. This is why nothing will ever change, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, when Obama was elected president, I wasn't excited. I didn't care. It's not like I hate Obama. I just didn't care. Because even with my minimal understanding of politics, I understood you don't trust politicians. Politicians spend their lives learning how to lie with a very truthful face. And their whole job is to manipulate you into voting. It's like those ads that run on, TV between television shows and movies where they're trying to convince you that their product is so much better than everybody else's product. Their job is not to put out the best product. Their job is to convince everybody that their product is the best. And that's what a politician is. That don't mean that they're going to actually fix anything. That just means they need to convince you that they're going to fix. That's why I don't give a fuck about politics. Politics is fucking retarded. I don't spend any of my time concerning myself with it, because no matter what happens, I know I will never benefit from politics. I will never benefit from it. Not in the way people think that you do, by voting and concerning yourself with it. I look at politics as being this outside force that pretty much does what it wants. I have no bearing on it. So I don't concern myself with it. Now, I'm not saying I don't listen to some debates. I'm not saying I don't listen to some addresses. I'm not saying that I don't listen to some topics. I don't watch some television shows here and there concerning politics. But I'm not wrapping myself up into it. And that's the problem. Like, we're too busy focused on things that are not going to help us. Voting will not help us. It has never helped us. Like, this is my thing. Like if voting actually makes any difference to us, I mean, at what point in history would we have gotten our shit together? Because, I mean, they've been voting on elections for what, 200 years, 300 years, probably longer. Like, I mean, I'm ballparking, by the way. Like I said, I'm going off the cuff. Anything that I say next is just what's popping into my head. And it's not like I'm just trying to make shit up. I'm more of a feeler when I talk. I find where the conversation, where I'm going with it, and I just work my way through it. I let it run its course. But it's like my philosophy on on donations and charities and shit. Like, if us giving money is actually going to fix the problem, there are people that have 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times the money that I have, the money that other people that I know have. How is my money going to make a difference? How is my $1 going to make a difference when there's people that has tens, hundreds of millions of dollars that can pretty much put this shit to bed right now? And charities and donations have been a thing for a long time. A long time. You mean to tell me that a lot of these issues that they, like, either these issues, there's one of two outcomes if money actually made a difference when you donate, right? Either you fix the problem at some point, or you realize that money can't buy a solution. And then you stop the donations. Unless the donations aren't for whatever it is they're saying they're for. Because there's no way, let's just say, for instance, for 100 years, okay? You're taking donations for your charity for 100 years. Okay, let's say you're averaging maybe 200,000 a year. I'm just throwing random numbers out there. 200,000 a year for 100 years. You mean to tell me in that time you can't find a way to fix whatever it is your charity is supposed to be in support of? This is why I don't donate. I don't donate anymore. People nowadays donate because it makes them feel better about themselves. I don't give a fuck about donating. I go to the store, they ask me, do I want to donate to the children's hospital? I'm good. And again, I love children. I honestly believe if you take care of your kids, if you raise them up the right way, the future is always brightest when kids are taken care of. When they have everything they need. That's when the future's the brightest. But, our future's not that bright because we don't give a fuck about our kids. Black kids pretty much do whatever the fuck they want to do. I mean, I come from Camden, New Jersey. For anybody that knows where Camden, knows about Camden, New Jersey, knows how rough it can be. And I mean, there were times where I would just walk outside at 2 a.m. and I would see children no older than 10 years old running the streets. Most of them no fathers, or most of them no mothers. Most of them either living with unstable mothers with probably either drug problems or anger issues, or they're living with their grandmother who's too concerned with either living her life or she has so many other responsibilities like other kids and other family members that she has to take care of, that there's always that one kid that doesn't get the attention they need doesn't get the, you know, the right amount of love and care, you know, and it happens like that. It happens like that. Where I got tired of trying to have these conversations where, I mean, I'm surrounded by single mothers. I'm surrounded by single mothers living in Camden, to where you say anything about single mothers, it's like the attack dogs. They smell blood and they go for it. Right? Like, that's what happens, man. That's what happens. You know, you can't talk to anybody about how to improve themselves. I mean, because they don't want to fucking listen. You know, this is why I say it's a group effort, man. Everybody needs to realize that change doesn't come by making things better. Change comes when you learn more and you realize what needs to be done. It comes from pain. It comes from heartache. It comes from stress. This isn't stress. We're too fucking comfortable. I keep telling people this, like, we're too comfortable. Wi-Fi, cell phones, video games, television, social media. Like, we're too fucking comfortable, man. We don't give a fuck about nothing. Nothing is an issue. This is why I'm not concerned myself with it, man. Like, we're going to hell in a handbasket, and we're concerned about a cop shooting a black dude. And that's another thing. And that's another reason why I really wanted to do this video. I am a black man, so-called, right? I come from a very drug-riddled, very aggressive city. One of the worst cities statistically in America, right? I see cops all the time. Like, now I live in a place where I don't see cop cars like that. It's a surprise when there's a cop car siren outside of my house. It's a surprise. It's not normal now. But when I lived in Camden, it was normal. It was uncomfortable not to see a siren outside, because that means, like, what the fuck is going on? You know, but I never ran into an issue where a cop stopped me for no reason in Camden. Now, when I lived in Philly, it happened one time, and it was the easiest situation. I don't know if I ever said this on camera, but it was the easiest situation to deal with. I had a bag. I was like 16 years old. I ran away from home. I was going back to Jersey, you know, right across the bridge, and a cop stopped me. A cop stopped me and asked me what did I have in my bag. Now, I didn't know my rights. I mean, I'm a 16-year-old with a basic education as far as what I'm learning in school, but you know, we never really learned about the rights that you have as citizens. We didn't learn any of that yet. Or I haven't. You know, like, I mean, I was a good student, you know, A's, B's, rarely would I get C's, and that's when I, you know, would pay it, you know, when I actually care about school. But, you know, I never really learned about my rights. I thought, you know, I kind of figured that to learn about your rights as a citizen was something that your family, like your father, your mother, or somebody like that, they teach you those things. You know, that's what I always assumed, but, you know, I don't know. But, you know, I didn't know anything about my rights. So I was like, sure, you can search my bag, because a robbery just happened. And they were looking for somebody, probably a black dude around my age. Probably, I think he robbed the house or something. So they were trying to find a guy, and I was in that area. So they asked me, could they look into my bag? And they was like, do you have any valuables in there? I said, nah, I just got clothes. And they asked me if they could search, and I said, sure. They searched my bag. They didn't find what they were looking for. They said, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. They went about their business. I said, no problem. And I walked, or wherever I was going at the moment, that's where I went. I didn't get beat up. I didn't get harassed. They didn't throw me down to the ground. They didn't lock me up. They didn't take me away. Like, they didn't do that shit. I have never experienced that. I've never experienced a situation where I felt like I was going to die. Now, there was a time when I finally moved out of the hood, and I moved into a nice neighborhood, and within the first year of me living where I live now, I was walking to the CVS, and it was like 2 a.m. I was tired. And, I was ready to go to sleep, but I needed to go grab something from the pharmacy. And I was walking. I mean, I'm tired. And when I'm tired, I'm just, I have a distinct way that I walk when I'm tired. So they stopped me. They asked me, where am I going? I told them I'm going to the CVS. They said, we stopped you because you were walking in an agitated manner. Which I didn't, I was like, really? But the one thing I didn't want to do, the one thing I learned dealing with cops is that you never portray yourself as a target. Like, there's a way you conduct yourself. You don't yell at them, okay? You don't look super guilty. If you just look normal, keep yourself composed, talk with respect, they normally respect you back, and they don't do anything to you. They don't hurt you. Now, I'm not saying you don't have cops out there that would actually do some shit like this, but they said I was walking in an agitated manner. I wasn't, but okay. They said that you also jaywalk. Now, jaywalking, I know it's a crime, but it's not like a serious crime. But people jaywalk all the fucking time. So I thought it was a nitpicky way of stopping me. So I told him, I'm sorry, officer. I'm sorry. I'm really tired. I'm trying to get here, grab what I need to get, and get back home so I can lay down and go to sleep. He was like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We just wanted to make sure you were okay. Which they weren't. They weren't trying to make sure I was okay. They wanted to see if I was up to no good, or I guess they just wanted to, fill me out, see who I was, because I was new to the neighborhood. I think there's like 1 or 2 cop cars that patrol where I live, so they never seen me before, so maybe they were just checking me out. But he was like, it's okay, go ahead to the store, thank you for your cooperation, and then they went by their business. I felt like that situation could have went south. I felt like that situation could have been a lot worse if I would have made it worse. This is why when I hear that these black dudes get gunned down, and this is the thing, like when I'm looking at the news report, every time the black dude gets gunned down, it's just after he did some shit. Like, there was a guy in I don't know where it was. But I think it was in the Midwest. It was this guy who just knocked over a convenience store. He didn't rob the convenience store, but he assaulted the store owner. I think this was around the time when the I Can't Breathe thing started, where the guy was held down by the cops, and they choked him to death. And he just got finished knocking over a convenience store. And then once he dies, it's like he was this major victim. And I'm not saying the way he died wasn't messed up. It was, sure. I mean, anytime somebody dies under those kind of circumstances, it's kind of sketchy and it makes you feel uncomfortable. But the point of my stories, the point of me talking about my interaction with the police versus a lot of times these other dudes' interactions with the police is I showed them respect. I didn't mouth off. I didn't do anything. I didn't make a scene. I spoke in a normal. And let me give you another example, right? My mom used to call the cops on me a lot when I was a teenager. She used to call the cops on me all the fucking time because the older I got, the more she feared whooping me, because I guess she felt like I was gonna put my hands on her. So she stopped hitting me and she started calling the cops on me, right? Whenever the cops would come, she would always look like the unreasonable one. I would always look like the victim. Even though I was the victim, but like with my mom calling the cops on me, it's like they could have just saw some big burly teenage black dude and was like, all right, maybe he's aggressive. Let's put the handcuffs on him and take him, just to find out what the hell's going on. Always. Like the last time my mom called the cops on me to get me out of her house, I had my nephew with me, and when the cops got there, the cops asked me, "Yo, was your mom drinking?" because of the way she was acting. She was yelling, screaming, she was losing her fucking mind. She was accusing the cops and shit. But you called them on me. But they're looking at you like I called them on you. And that's usually how you handle those interactions with them. And when you do that, I mean, I don't trust the cops. Don't get me wrong. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust really anybody. I think everybody has their agendas. I think everybody has their motives. And that's just the world we live in. It is what it is. And this is where I'm at with it. And this is why I'm doing this, is because either we need to actually do something. Actually do something besides protesting. We need to powwow amongst each other and do something, or we need to shut the fuck up and just leave it alone. We're looking for equality in a land that does not consider us equal. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's like having roaches and rats in your house, and the roaches or rats are trying to convince you to treat them like they're one of you. And I don't want to make the correlation that we're like rats and roaches, but in the minds of other people, we are. Because rats and roaches, they're fucking annoying. They get in the way. They're always doing something, and they make it hard to keep your house in order. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just talking from the perspective of others. Because black people, for the most part, are the most disliked community in the world. I mean, even African motherfuckers don't like us. Like, it's like we are the most disliked, because, and we can't blame anybody but ourselves. It's because of us, you know. But accountability is something that you can't preach to nobody, man. I've learned that the hard way, man. I spent my time looking crazy, talking to people, trying to tell people like what needs to be done, man. People don't want to be talked to like children, even though they do nothing but act like children. And it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I do multiple videos where I'm discussing this, not at length, and this wasn't even at length, but I mean, I just want to broach a certain topic. Either we need to do something or do nothing and shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know, man. I've been watching a lot of old Malcolm X speeches, man, and I gotta tell you, man. I mean, and this is just me trying to be satirical. I'm really not considering this, but that dude kind of makes me want to be like he makes me want to join, bro. Like, he makes me want to become one. And it's the philosophy. I don't think that we should be trying to be a part of anything. I think we need to be focused on trying to make our people stand on their own. Like how the Jewish people do, how the so-called white people do, the Pakistani people. People, when they come, like other ethnicities, when they come to America, even the Spanish people, they stick together. They support each other. They take care of their own. We don't do that. We are the most separated group in the world. We don't take care of each other like we should. And this is why I started the video off, This is why I started the video off by saying information is one of the most important tools in the world. Is one of the most important tools. You can do a lot with that. When you teach people the right way. And we just lack that. And that's the biggest crime. That's the biggest crime that I think that's happening. That's been happening and it's still happening. It's not the social injustice. It's none of that. The lack of sufficient information and being able to teach that to the children and everybody else, I think is the biggest crime, man. Because you grow up a certain way. How else are you supposed? I hate it when people judge others for thinking a certain way. But when it's the only way you've been taught, how else is anybody supposed to think? And that falls back on us as a whole. That's all of our problems. Like, you can't exclude yourself from it. You can't exclude yourself from the accountability. I won't exclude myself from the accountability. Even though I try like hell to teach my nieces and nephews as much as I possibly can to try to have them think for themselves and stop listening to everybody else and stop having everybody else tell them how they're supposed to feel and how they're supposed to think. I try to teach them to think for themselves. But even though I don't think I have a huge part in any of this, I still take my account. Like, I should have taken my life more seriously in high school. I dropped out, but my thoughts, my philosophies on school won't line up with other people's, but it was my choice. And I think that we need to take that. We need to take a leap of faith in us. Or, we never look to each other to fix us. We're always looking at everybody else. And I think that's one of the biggest crimes, man. We don't take care of each other. But the reason why I came to this conclusion is because when I look at every other ethnicity in America and how they conduct themselves and how they find an issue and they neutralize that issue in the most efficient way possible, they're very internal, man. They're very internal. But I'm done, man. This is a 31-minute video of me rambling about the so-called race relation issues in America. Look, I'm not trying to be one of these internet dudes that's trying to make it seem like I know everything or I know anything. I'm sharing my thoughts. These are my thoughts. If you agree, great. If you disagree, also great. If you want to comment about anything, that's fine too. I mean, it's whatever. But I want everybody to stay safe, man. Think smart. Think very smart. There's a difference between thinking smart and thinking that you're thinking smart. But take care of yourselves.